You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone doing today? It is Monday, one of my favorite days of the week, Monday, June 24th, 2024. We are almost at the end of June. We are zooming through this year. Yes, we are. If you do not know who I am your host of the show and of the channel. I am Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. So, like I said yesterday, or actually I said on Saturday, but we started it yesterday. We're going to be putting some timers on our show, keep it within a particular time frame so we can keep things moving. We can keep things on the roll because time is money and our time is our most valuable asset. So I'm going to throw up a 45-minute timer for this entire show. And then we're still going to do our 5 minutes for our news and then our 30 minutes for our 20 minutes for our work, right? So let's put our timer up. Okay, there we go. So time left 45 minutes. And there we go. So today I have coming out at noon Eastern time, we have the Candid Conversations. We're going to be talking about how today's failure leads to tomorrow's success. Today's failure leads to tomorrow's success. If you are afraid of failure, then you are afraid of winning and being successful. You have to fail many times in order to get to where you want to be and where you should be. All right. So tune in for that. Tomorrow we're going to be going live with our Q&A, all that good stuff. Right. So with that being said, we are going to jump into our news for today. But before we do that, if you haven't done so, do me a favor, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. What's going on? Rod Brown, welcome in. Good morning to you, good sir. Good morning. How are you doing this fine Monday morning? It's a new week. It is a new week. It is a new day, a new opportunity to be great. So let's get out there and get it. All right. Let's jump into our news for today. So that being said, let's go. All right. So you know how we like to start off our Monday mornings with the numbers to watch for this week, because on Saturdays, we have the Men Lie, Woman Lie, Numbers Manipulate show, where we review these numbers. And I'm joined by Yakar and Mr. Mitch, my two experts in the field of these crazy, crazy numbers. I'm just trying to figure it out. All right. So let's get into our numbers. Let's get it. So this is by Kate Chapman, our good friend Kate Chapman over at an editor at LinkedIn News. Always hits us up with this information. So it says inflation again. It's like every single week, right? Let's start our 5-minute timer, right? It's like every single week. Inflation is front and center, right? I want to change this timer's font to match the other one. Actually, let's go with the Passion. Where is go with that new timer? All right. So Inflation will be front and center this week with the Federal Reserve preferred gauge expected to show slower price growth in May. The U.S. Personal Consumption Expenditure, PCE, I guess, the U.S. Personal Consumption Expenditure Index, excluding volatile items such as fuel, likely rose at an annual rate of 2.6% last month, down from 2.8% in April, according to an estimate by Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland on Friday. A cooler reading after months of stickiness would be a relief to consumers and the Fed. Retail sales have flagged recently amid high inflation and interest rates imposed by the central bank to slow price growth, and slow price growth have been affected. And if you guys heard how your car and Mitch feel about the Fed, I was like, what? And then someone who is off YouTube, an accountant of mine that I know, a friend of mine, also said the same thing that they said about the Fed. I was like, wow, the Fed is down bad. All right. So what numbers are we looking? I have a lot of, oh my goodness. We'll have to split up the show this coming Saturday. So Tuesday, June 25th, tomorrow, the Conference Board will release its monthly consumer confidence survey, which measures how optimistic Americans are about the economy. Wednesday, June 26th, the U.S. Census Bureau will release key housing market indicators, including the numbers of new single-family homes sold and number of new building permits issued by the government in May. Thursday, June 27th, the U.S. Department of Labor will release the initial jobless claims. So we know what that one is. We always track that. The Bureau of Economic Analysis will release a final gross domestic product reading for the first quarter. The U.S. Census Bureau released a monthly report on durable goods. And then on Friday, the U.S. Department of Commerce will release May's personal consumption expenditure price index, the Fed's preferred inflation measure, and the University of Michigan will release its final reading on June's consumer sentiment index, which measures how Americans feel about current and future economic conditions. So we are going to have to we're going to have to like filter this down because this is a lot of information. I'll probably exclude this one right here, and maybe this one since we just reviewed the one from last week. Yes, this past Saturday. We'll see. We shall see. Right. Anyways, we're already like 3 minutes in. We'll probably have to reset this 5-minute timer because I shouldn't have started it for the numbers to review because we like to review that one separately and then start the timer. But no big deal. We'll get there. Right. So with our very first news article of today. Apple is first charged under EU law. What does this mean? So, Apple is accused of violating a new European Union law by preventing developers that make games and other applications for its App Store from steering customers to cheaper services. So, what does that mean? The preliminary findings make Apple the first company charged with violating the Digital Markets Act, which passed in 2022 and targets big tech companies. If found to be in breach, Apple could face a fine of up to 10% of global revenue or up to 20% for repeat infringements. What in the world? That is crazy. The European Commission also said it started a new probe into Apple's contractual terms with developers. Apple says it is confident our plan complies with the law. The EU will make a final decision by March 25th. March 25th of 2025? What? Late last week, Apple said it would not release new AI features in the region due to regulatory uncertainty. Apple has been talking with Meta about integrating its generative AI models into Apple Intelligence, the Wall Street Journal reports, citing an anonymous source. See, if I was Apple, right, I would have to, I'm sure they do this, right, but I would have to weigh the pros and the cons. Is it even worth being in the EU? Is it worth it? 10 to 20% of your global revenue? So it's not even your revenue from the EU. It's your global revenue that they're going after. Give me a break here. I don't know. That's why when we were putting the app I'm going to start up another timer. When we were putting the app in the App Store, I was like, hey, you know what? Forget the EU. I'm not even dealing with that nonsense. Like, because I don't know. So, but they're also saying that what they're being accused of is they're preventing developers that make games and other apps for its App Store from steering consumers to cheaper service. Why would I allow something like that in my apps? I don't know, whatever. Anyways, let's move on. Maybe I don't understand it, right? Maybe I don't understand. So, auto dealers are coming back from the hack. So, service at thousands of US auto dealerships are being restored after the recent cyber attack on CDK Global, which is a video that I plan on reviewing. I was going to release a video on it for this coming bug bite, but there wasn't enough data on it yet, and I don't like to just report news. I like to review these articles to see what exactly is going on, what was the cause of it, kind of like a post-mortem or a root cause analysis. So that's why I held back on it, because there wasn't enough detail. I saw some news about, oh, they were going to have to pay a ransom, but then when I tried to read it, it was behind a paywall. Like, we'll just wait for it. We'll circle back on it when we have more data, because I don't just like to. I'm not a news reporter. I just like to investigate what's actually going on. So hackers have demanded. All right, systems are expected to be fully back within several days and not weeks. Hackers have demanded tens of millions of dollars, and CDK intended to pay the ransom. Bloomberg reported, citing anonymous sources. Major dealerships such as Penske Automotive and Sonic Automotive detailed the impact of the attacks in filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Dealers have been forced to process orders by hand until the issue is resolved. So this was probably a terrible, terrible weekend to be out there car shopping. All right. So next up, we have using boring work to boost your day. All right. So how do you handle tedious tasks at work? Do you knock them out all at once, or do you spread them out throughout the day? Choosing the first approach could affect your productivity on more important work later, according to new research. A better strategy, says one of the study authors, is to divide tasks into boring and meaningful categories and alternate between the two to reorient their attention and replenish their energy. Managers can also promote this balanced strategy to boost employee engagement and output. So pretty much you're saying mix the boring stuff, put a little bit of boring stuff, put a little bit of meaningful stuff, make them work together and go from there. All right. So seems like a decent strategy, I guess. Or try to gamify your work so that none of it is boring and it is all a challenge. It is all, see me, I add the timers because for me, adding the timer is like making it a game. Can I stay close within the time that I set for myself? I just find strategies to make it exciting. All right. Next up on the agenda. So this one says, good news for personality hires. I have absolutely no idea what a personality hire is, right? So we're going to find out together because I'm not sure. So the vibes, all right, whenever things start off with vibes, I get nervous, right? The vibes are off in the American workplace. Just a third of workers say they're engaged in their jobs per Gallup, while nearly half are interested in or actively applying for new roles. Enter the personality hires, those employees who get further on charm than skill. Oh, that's what that is. Okay, cool. Is that? Let's see. Per the Wall Street Journal, some bosses are betting on them to improve workplace morale, particularly in hybrid work situations that can make it hard to build camaraderie. The journal explains, but there's a risk that personality hires create resentment too by forcing more skilled colleagues to pick up their slack. Oh. That, my friend, is a tricky one, because what if you have the best personality in the world? However, you do not know how to do the work whatsoever, like you suck at it. Does that make the other people's morale go lower because, oh, you're such a go-getter, so happy, so chipper, but you can't do anything. You can't do anything. Maybe there's another position that they could put you in. I don't know. But I don't know. Let's keep reading. For hiring managers, skill was king during pandemic era hiring sprees. That is a lie. I totally disagree with that.
Bruh.
skill is a king. Do you know how many people who were like 3 days out of a boot camp, they got hired? There was a crazy hiring spree, and it was not because skill was king. It was because they got that PPP money. And they're like, well, we need to spend it, so let's hire, and then we'll claim it on our tax. And then once the bread is out, once we be brokey broke, then we'll just get rid of them. We'll get rid of them, right? And now, all those people who are still trying to take the pandemic route and trying to get into these boot camps where they spend like a week into it, and then they say, all right, now I'm ready to be a software developer or a QA engineer. They go out there and they apply and they apply and they apply, and it's like nothing is out there.
I'm in a bind, Nate.
Always got to run to Nate. So it says, for hiring managers, skill was king during pandemic era hiring sprees, but that may have left many companies with too many capable workers or incapable workers. Who knows? Another reason they're looking for personality instead. One recruiting professional suggests. I don't really trust recruiters that way either. It depends on the recruiter. Right? Because a lot of these contractual recruiters will tell you anything on LinkedIn to make you feel good about yourself when you just need to up your skills. Some job seekers even feel that being more reserved or straightforward is hurting their chances in interviews in this current hiring environment. I don't know. Being more reserved or straightforward is hurting their chances. I think any interview is an opportunity for you to market yourself, market what you know, market that you are a team player. But for me, I look for both. I look for you being a team player as well as you being skilled in the position you're applying for. I'm telling you, I've met some amazing people who had great personalities on interviews, but they didn't have the skills to actually do the work. And for the position they were applying for, maybe if it was a lower position, possibly, but for these upper level positions, I'm like, great person, very nice. They can communicate really well, but they're not at the level of skill to be able to perform the job. And then on the other hand, there's been some super really skilled people, but they seem like they would probably be a problem for the cohesion of the team. So all of that comes, you guys might not know, but all of that comes into effect when it comes into hiring. And that's why there's so many different rounds of hiring. That's why there's so many people involved, because one person can, I might say, oh yeah, this person is good. And the other person might say, oh, actually, no, this is a problem that I see. I'm like, oh, you know what? I didn't even notice that, but you're right. And we make that decision together. So it's nothing personal. Well, it might be personality, but it's nothing personal. All right. So that is our news for today. All right. Let's get back to our full screen. And we are going to go into getting to work. So the plan for today is, I have some user story. I have some feature requests for the time cost calculator, what we've been building here on this website. Over the weekend, Yakari and I did a presentation where we actually wrote out one of these stories. And I also have the idea of building out the watch app, for the Apple Watch and Android Wear, whatever, Google Wear, Wear OS, whatever they call it now, right? So I wanted to start looking into that, and we can start writing out our stories on how we're going to get that done. So today's going to be story writing session with Tech Coach Ralph. And we are going to go to our backlog and see what we have here, right? So let's see. And I'll show you the story that Yakari and I wrote over the weekend. And then we shall start our watch app. All right, so let's get to it. And I'll throw up let's see, should I put... Yeah, I'll put another 20-minute timer on the clock just so that in case, because you need the show timer, but you need the work timer as well, because if you just leave the show timer, then you're gonna run over time, and then it's gonna be a mess, right? it's gonna be a mess. So we have a lot of time. We have a lot. We're like a Flavor Flav with that big clock around his neck. Let's go. Let me change this font too. We're upgrading fonts today. We are upgrading fonts. Let's go to boom. There we go. So let's get to it. So this right here is our backlog. Let me make sure this is showing correctly as well. Yeah. Let me see. Yes, that's good. All right. And let me close this up a bit. All right, let's leave it at that. All right. So, so this is a story that we actually wrote over the weekend. Let me make it bigger over here. So this one, so we used like somewhat of a persona, and this was to be able to have minutes and hours instead of just taking the hours and you have to use decimals and stuff like that. So this one says, as an attorney using the time cost calculator to help calculate billing, when I speak to a client on the phone for 21 minutes, I want that option to enter hours and minutes, or maybe let's say for instead of for 21 minutes, let's say for 1 hour and 21 minutes. I want the option to enter hours and minutes so that I can provide a more accurate billing statement. And now the acceptance criteria, the layout needs to include a field for entering minutes spent on activity. The layout needs to include arrows for toggling numbers, like to go up and down if you want to use that instead of typing it in. The hours field can only accept whole numbers. The minutes field can only accept whole numbers from 0 to 59 because we don't want them entering like 90 in there. You know what I mean? And the minutes field can, all right, so we have that. The minutes field defaults to 0. And the calculation based on the hours and minutes entered is correct. So that is our story. We'll be getting to that one eventually in the morning. Hopefully we have that for our, I don't know, maybe we'll have that for our next release, or do we release the whole watch app? I don't know. We have to figure that out, right? But that's the story that we wrote over the weekend. There's more stories to come because I got a great idea from my guy Junior, who said, hey, the issue that we've been having on iOS where it keeps the number pad open, maybe we can add a done button and then that'll close it. So we're going to look into that as well. I'll create a story for that. But today I wanted to focus on work, like starting to build these stories for the watch app. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create an epic. Let's see. We're going to create an epic. Create epic. And we're going to call that watch companion app, right? And in this epic for the watch, so what is an epic, right? Before we even go into epic, what is an epic? Let's find out. What is an epic in Agile? So in Agile, an epic is a large, complex body of work that is too big to be completed in a single sprint or iteration. Epics are broken down into smaller, more manageable tasks called user stories, which are based on customer need and request. These user stories are related and combined to form one large story with a unified goal. Epics can be worked on across multiple sprints. So that's what the epic is. It's going to house our child. So Jira is changing the name of epics. Like, I don't know, Jira is so weird because sometimes, like on sometimes it's gonna call it the parent ticket, sometimes it's gonna call it an epic. It's so weird how they're testing on releasing new features, right? But there's gonna be the watch companion app epic. We're gonna add our stories to that, right? So what were my thoughts around building the companion watch app? Let me make sure. Right. So one thing I wanted to do was to So let's go down here. We're gonna actually just go up here, say create, and we're gonna say, so for this watch app, right? I wanted it to, so let's do we're gonna need a basic setup for the project, right? So or before we even do that, let's do an epic. Let's do an, not epic. Let's do a spike, right? I guess we could. There we go. And let's go to our settings and because we want to add the category of spikes. So that way we can add issue type spike. That way we can do like some research before we actually get to implementing. All right. So research stories. So now if I go back to, let me see. If we go back to the project, let me see if I have Spike over here now. Create. We have Spike. What happened to Spike? All right. Bug epic issue type. Where is this thing? So let's go to project. This one. Oh, my goodness. All right, whatever. We'll create the story and then I'll find how to do it in the the configuration to have the issue type to actually be a spike. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go to here. I'll just put it as a task for now and then we'll change it later on. And I'm just going to put it in the title now, at least for spike. And we're going to say research. And we'll probably start on this story in this upcoming on Wednesday. Research what it takes for research getting watch app development started. All right. So and we'll say do research the criteria to building a watch app, right? And some acceptance criteria. So let's say the job story. The dog barking outside for some weird reason. And I'm going to say acceptance criteria. So what are the things I need to know before I even get started on this, right? I need to know we got my guy in the building. Darcel. What's going on, Darcel? Happy to have you here. As always, you are very, very much appreciated here.
I appreciate you.
All right. So, and we're just working on getting ready to build our watch app to complement our time cost calculator, which is already in the iOS App Store. So check that out if you haven't done so already. And it should be coming soon, probably during, well, not even that, because by like Monday, next Monday, we should be able to start pushing it through to the production because our closed testing is going to be done. But then it takes a few more days for them to actually approve it to go into the App Store. So we'll figure that out, right? But for this story, what do I need to know? What questions would I like answered? Acceptance criteria. I would like to know, can the watch app be built the same project repo as the current app? Let's see. What else would I like to know? What questions would I have? I don't even know what questions would I have. That was my main question. How can we connect the data entered in on the app on the mobile or on the mobile app to reflect on the watch app? So that's another question that I'm thinking about. Like, how can we have the two going together? Like, because they need to interact with. It's a companion app. It's not a separate app, right? So, if I enter, let's say I enter the total income for the year. Let's say I put the total income for the year, and now I start the timer. I want the timer. I want the watch to pick up the total income for the year, and the timer on the watch to be reflecting that, right? So we got that. We got that. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. And what will it take to enter the? What will it take to enter the? What will it take to make the time count upwards, like a stopwatch, and what will it take to make the value of the time spent on activity calculate based on the timer in real time? So those are some questions that I'm thinking about. Some of the features that we want to have. So that's gonna be my acceptance criteria for this spike. I'll change like the issue type to a spike once I figure out how to do that. But let's create that one. So let's see. Where did it go? So there it goes. And I'm going to add that to, oh, not a child issue. Sorry. I'm going to add that to our spike of watch companion app. Close this. And let me see what Darcel said. I appreciate you too, even though you came for me. I'm here to watch the magic happen and learn something. It's all fun and games. It's all fun and games. All right, so let's go with a next story. Let's create another story. So now let's say, oh my god, let's go with create. And this is going to be a story. And I would say this is gonna be another job story, but set up the project. Set up project to create watch app. Let's say set up develop dev project. All right. So I'm gonna say the job story based on the results of the spike. I want to set up my project either in the existing repo or a new one, so that I have the necessary framework to build the watch app. And let's go with acceptance criteria. What would be my acceptance criteria for this one? I would say let's say project is set up and respective location. Get project is being tracked via Git, and a GitHub repository has been created. Our GitHub project. Let's say project slash report. And what else do we want? A GitHub project has been created, and let's see. Initial setup has been committed and pushed to GitHub. I don't even think that I pushed the existing project to GitHub, so I'm gonna have to do that as well, because I don't want to lose it. Who knows what can happen to your computer and stuff like that. So we're gonna push that up as well, and we're going to say this is part of the I thought I could assign the epic from here. Let me see. Oh, guess not. Alarm about to ring. Let me shut that down. All right, cool. I can't do it from here. Let's say create, and we're gonna assign that to the watch app. There we go. So we have 2 stories for the watch app, and now, because although we know what we know what we have to research, we can still start creating the stories for what we need to do, right? So that's not a big deal. So we also want the and we already have the formula to calculate the time spent. So let's do, I think the very first thing that we're going to want to do before we even worry about calculating the calculating the, I wonder if you're still here, Rod Brown, what do you think? Because I'm thinking the very first thing that I would do when building out this watch app would be getting the timer to count up, right? And then once we get the timer to count up, then it would, all we have to do is plug in the actual time spent to do the calculation in real time, right? So let's say get timer to, or get to start counting up for new activity. So user story is going to be as a let's see, who could I go with? What user role could I go with for this? As a, got it. As a consultant for a content creator. Let's go with that, right? Or yeah, let's just go with that, right? As a consultant for a content creator, I want to start the, I don't want to use, because that's going too far into it for a user story. So I'll just say it with whatever, we'll leave it at that for now, and then we can always change it later, right? I want to use the time cost calculator watch app, or I want to start the I want to start the. I want to. I want to start the timer on the time cost calculator watch app to track how much time I'm actually spending consulting so that I can compare if the amount I charged for consulting is profitable compared to the time spent, right? So that's the so we can say like on this particular story where it's like, well, why can't you just use your regular some other timer to do it? Well, this story is just a setup story for our future stories where we're going to actually say, all right, now that we have the stopwatch, pretty much a stopwatch counting upwards. Now let's plug in. So let's plug in the what do you call that thing? Let's plug in the actual cost. Like, so you can just look at your watch and you say, okay, I spent 20 minutes on this. This is actually so this is costing me um you know $30 at this point, which that's a lot, but it's costing me this much based on how much time I spent on it. You know, so that's just like this is just to set it up what's coming next. You know what I mean? So that is what is going on here. Let's see here. We are going to say here, and then we're going to say acceptance criteria. All right. We got 5 minutes left in the show. We're going to wrap it up very, very soon. But we've created like 3 stories so far, so that's pretty good. So what should happen? What's our acceptance criteria? The watch app starts up. So that's number 1. I let's see. And this is why story planning is so important, because you're really thinking about the features that you're going to be building into it. I'm going to say there is a button to start a new activity. There is a button to start the timer, and the timer starts to count upwards. And this might have to be broken up actually, because there's a few moving pieces to this, but we'll see. The timer starts to count upwards. The timer includes hours, minutes, seconds. We're not going to go for milliseconds. I think I'm going to cut these out for now, right? The start button. I think what we're just going to do is when you click on new activity, the timer is just going to start. And then like getting the basic stuff to work, or maybe we just click on the start timer button. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll just do a start timer button. And then after we start seeing things work, we can start adding some layers in front of it so that we can, we get like, we always have to remember we make it work and then we make it better, and then the question is, how do you, so now I think we should also stop the timer though. Well, yeah, we should stop the timer. The timer can be stopped. All right, so there we go. So I think that would be a great first, a great story to get started. And I just thought about another story too. We need to create a layout for this watch app. So let's do one more story real quick. Add that to our epic. Gotta change the color of this one. Oops. And one more. Say say design the look and feel of the watch app. And I'll say I'm gonna put design how the layout of the watch app should look before. Because we can I'll just leave that as it is for now because we could dump a bunch of stuff on there. But we do want to have a nice clean design. I'm gonna have like a 3-line idea that I'm thinking about, but we shall see because we're gonna have to investigate some mobile app designs to see what we can do. All right. So let's say I just put it investigate, and we can clean the story up next show as well, or whenever. Investigate how watch apps UI UX is done. All right. So so this is a baseline story. We'll add some more features, some more details to it in the future. But our time is almost up for today. So we are going to get that one, add that to the here. And there we have it. All right, let's go back to full screen as we wrap up our show. So that is what we're doing today. We created our stories for our upcoming watch app. And we're going to learn something new. We are going to learn something new. The timer is about to go off. Let's see if the end timer sound works.
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
We've got our cue to wrap it up. It's time. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you all for being here. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. We will make it work. We are here to learn together. And on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember, Candid Conversations it's coming out at noon Eastern time today. Today's failure leads to tomorrow's success. So let's go out there and get it.
Let's get it.
But on that note, this is Tech Coach Ralph, and we are out.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts. Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.